Data centers. Data centers are the backbone of our digital infrastructure. Every app, website, cloud service that we use, from Netflix to WhatsApp to our banking applications, even our e-commerce website, they all store their information on servers stored in data centers. Without them, both businesses and individuals have no way to store, access, and process information which is digital. In short, data centers are running the digital infrastructure for us. To discuss this topic in detail and to cover marketing services and information which is around brand building for something which is so essential yet unseen, we have with us Mr. Siddharth Singh, Senior Vice President and CMO, CtrlS Data Center. Welcome to the show, Siddharth.
Thanks, Ethan. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Siddharth, with over 22 years of experience into communication and data center industry, has worked with global brands, including NTT Data Centers, Carex Mobile, Yotta Infrastructure, and his current stunt, CtrlS Data Centers. Siddharth, you've got a commendable 22 years of career. If you look back, how does it feel like?
As I was telling you earlier, these are like two sides of a coin. One half is the agency side, the other half is the career into pretty much data centers for the last 10 odd years, right? The overall data center space, if you have been seeing the trajectory, it's on the rise. We know all the reasons why. You mentioned a whole bunch of digital apps which are getting consumed more and more. The overall government impetus on digitization as well, right?
Agreed.
So all of these, are massive tailwinds which are giving rise to more digital adoption, and hence the rise of data centers coming very naturally, right? So overall, a fantastic space to be in. Thoroughly enjoying my stint. Yeah.
Okay. See, data centers are usually seen as a technical stuff, something that usually stays behind the curtain always, right? If you were to explain this to a layman, somebody who doesn't know what is the use of data center, how would you do it?
So we do actually have a lot of these people within the buying committee. So being in a B2B space, we hardly sell to one decision maker, okay? Our decision makers are usually committees which consist of a CIO who will evaluate data centers from a technical standpoint. We'll have a CEO or a business stakeholder who is evaluating it from a business continuity standpoint, from a brand reputation standpoint. You have the CFO who's evaluating it from a pure TCO or from a predictability in cost perspective. So our overall marketing messaging is always layered. Okay. So to explain to a CEO or to a CFO, our messaging is very different. We'll never talk the technical language. We will try and translate all the technical jargon into a boardroom language which they are able to understand. So we have done a lot of content such as customer case studies where the MD himself is on camera and he is talking about how they have benefited from working with CtrlS, right? Or these are technical jargons translated into boardroom language via our blogs, okay, which are fully targeted towards these decision makers. So that's how we go about simplifying the tech aspect.
Yeah, I'm imagining a CIO waking up in the morning and thinking about data center, right? I think the first thing that will come on their mind would be business continuity,
Absolutely.
right? Cost, efficiency, and metrics like that. Perhaps if you look at data center, they usually talk about, uptime, efficiency, electricity efficiency, and a lot of other stuff goes around, right? Technical jargons like this. So if we were looking at these business leaders, right, what are the key metrics that they usually look at when it comes to data centers? See, for you, it could be uptime. For an engineer who's looking at stuff, it could be many other things on a technical side. What are those key metrics they actually prefer looking at?
Yeah, they're absolutely right. No CFO or a CIO would wake up and start talking about PUE ratios or talking about cooling technology and things like that. They typically ask the following questions when they wake up: that, is my business going to continue uninterrupted? Okay. What happens if there is a downtime? What is the impact on my business? And these are the questions which the board also asks. Okay. So again, taking a cue from the first answer, a whole bunch of our marketing focus is around educating these business decision makers.
Okay.
They don't understand jargon. They understand the impact of business, impact on business, impact on brand reputation, impact on customer churn, if there is an event in the data center.
Okay.
And these type of messaging help us land the right set of um, key aspects about what are the risks associated with downtimes and what's the impact that it would have on your business.
Okay. So you work with, I would say 3 of the top data center providers in India, right? Current is CtrlS, right? If everyone is fighting, or if everyone is, banking on uptime and efficiency, right? How do you set your brand's image apart from rest of the crowd?
So that's the reality of our space. Everybody talks about high uptimes, green data centers, all the right certifications in place, right? So what we have seen is that these have become hygiene. These are not clear differentiators. This is not based on which a brand could build a preference as, hey, I would like to work with this particular data center service provider. No, it's not really that. So how do we really approach our brand differentiation at CtrlS? Number one, starting with the brand itself and the positioning of the brand. We have been around for close to 17 years. Now, that is something which not many can simply just claim. I mean, we have been around for a long period of time. We have worked with the who's who in the industry. We have over 600 enterprise customers with us, right? And the good part is that we still continue to invest in our brand building exercise. Very recently, we launched a brand campaign called Take Control, okay, because we wanted to basically own the keyword control, since it is part of our brand name itself. And that campaign, all it talks about is empowering businesses to take control of their data, take control of your compliance, take control of your growth, right? So that is one way in which we are differentiating the brand and the positioning part. The other aspect is proof of trust, right? Again, when we work with the who's who in the industry, and if these companies choose to endorse the brand, right, that's the ultimate proof that one can give. And these are something that you can't buy, you have to earn it, right? So when a JK Tire, or when a Intel, or when a Zoho, or a Bombay Stock Exchange MD, comes on camera like this and gives you a testimonial, that's like golden for us, right? So these are again very strong differentiators that we have. The third aspect is our entire focus on sustainability and innovation.
Okay.
Sustainability in our segment is non-negotiable. All our top customers demand green power, sustainable practices, because in turn they also have signed a pledge of, let's say, net zero by 2040. So we, as CtrlS, we have gone a step further and invested in building our own solar farms.
Okay.
Right? So we have a solar farm in Nagpur that we have built. It's over 340 acres of land, generating close to 100 megawatts of green energy. And that is something that our customers have really appreciated. There's no other data center company in India who owns their own solar farm. Usually these are contracted to other third-party service providers. So that's how we are kind of walking the talk and building the right set of differentiation with the rest of the, compared to the rest of the industry.
Super. See, you mentioned innovation and brand. Often when you look at data centers, they are considered to be a, behind the curtain utility or a simple infrastructure. But I think if there's a campaign or maybe any branding or marketing initiative taken, you could actually position a data centers as one of the key players or key pillars for brand building or maybe simply innovation, right? From the same lens, I wanted to ask if there was a campaign that you ran or maybe an approach that you supported in your career that led to, this growth. Any such incident that you could probably elaborate on?
I can think of quite a few actually. Let me try and list a couple of them. One which was in my previous organization, and this was just when COVID was set in. We were in a lockdown situation, and the challenge that the marketing was facing was that, how do I keep my customer engagement on, right? Everybody's stuck within their homes. What do we do? We took a very bold decision that, what, we will create a forum for CIOs to come and engage with us on a weekly basis. Every Friday, we hosted something called a CIO Masterclass.
Okay.
It was nothing about data centers. It was all about helping CIOs cope with the pandemic, and we got the best of experts to come and share their expertise, with the audience. We had, for example, a Yasmin Karachiwala come and do a live exercise session with literally hundreds of CIOs virtually online following her, and doing the exercise with her. We had a psychiatrist who used to come and give a session on how to deal with stress during the pandemic. We had few nutritionists, some of the topmost in India, who used to come and give session on, hey, how do you stay healthy at home? What exactly do you cook within during the pandemic so that you don't put on weight? We ran this program for almost 5 months during the entire lockdown, right? Every single Friday. There's a lot of effort that went in curating the speakers week after week. But this is something which the entire CIO community really loved.
How did you pull this off? It's an interesting initiative, something that has no relation with your industry.
Absolutely.
You took care of the community
that
really
is
well.
All that we wanted to do, because at that point in time, the product was not really launched. And we were approaching the product launch when the pandemic hit.
Okay.
So we knew that if we lost the touch with the audience at that critical juncture, it will be very difficult for us to pick up, from where we are leaving it. So we purely invested in brand visibility, engagement with the entire community. In fact, after the pandemic ended and we had to shut down the CIO Masterclass, we got a lot of emails from customers saying that, hey, we really miss the engagement. That is something which people had kind of calendared every Friday, 11 o'clock sharp, it would start, run for an hour. So it was that's one campaign which is really close to my heart. The other example that I can give you is at CtrlS. We tried to see how can we really influence the next generation of talent, and hence we started something called the CtrlS Academy.
Okay.
Yeah. What we are doing is that, and this is a pan-India initiative, so we have data centers across 8 major markets across India. We are reaching out to all the top-notch engineering colleges, and we're inviting their students to come into our facility and experience firsthand what's the entire digital kitchen like, right?
Okay.
We all deal with the front end, right, which is our mobile or our computers, but none of these students would have ever stepped into a data center to see what really goes behind the scenes. And when we saw hundreds of these students come into our data center, their reaction when we saw it, it was priceless. I think the aha moment was at both the sides. And what we really learned is that they appreciate all of these, technical buildings, equipments that are actually managing all these servers. There are so many questions, of course. And, answering all of those helped us realize that I think as long as we continue to invest in evangelizing the data center space, as long as we invest time and effort to nurture or project the data center industry as as the next segment to actually build your career into, that is something which is really going to have a high payout. So 2 of these campaigns that I can think of which are kind of close to my heart. Yeah.
Superb. I think it's a great initiative, and all our viewers who are here, they will take some sort of learning from it, and they'll probably try and build something of their own in the similar notes. On the other side, I'm imagining how much time your security team would have taken to enter those people into the data center facility.
For that, you'll need to interview my security head.
Now, I've been to a data center myself. Used to work for a brand. I wouldn't be able to disclose the name here, but for them, we used to do demand gen. And whenever I used to go to their office,
Yes.
I mean, for one person, it used to take good 5 minutes to enter the facility.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of checking. You have to enter your, government IDs and all of that stuff. So imagining if the process is being replicated for about 100 students, how much time this would have taken, right? But that's a conversation for some other day.
Yeah.
Coming back, you mentioned sustainability, right? A lot of brands nowadays preach sustainability, but for some, or I would say, a lot, it's nothing but a mere compliance, right? You as Senior Vice President and CMO of CtrlS, do you think it's a mere compliance or it could be considered as a driver for brand influence in the data center industry?
So let's just take a step back and look at it from a customer lens. All the top customers that we have, and these are some of the largest names that you can think of in the cloud service space, or typically we call them hyperscalers.
Okay.
When they sign up a contract with us, right from day one, they would demand green power. Okay. Let's also understand where they are coming from. All of them would have signed a pledge to reach net zero by 2040. Okay.
Yes.
And their entire supply chain, therefore, has to comply. Without a clean supply chain, they would never be able to hit their energy efficiency goals. Right. So as a service provider, it is not merely compliance. It's not merely a checkbox that I have. It is actually very relevant to our existence. If I'm not able to provide it, brands will not really work with us. As simple as that. Okay. So we have gone a step further and we have put targets on our own sustainability goals, by the way. So by 2030, we will be running on 100% renewable energy. Okay. By 2040, we will hit our net zero goal.
Super.
Right. Which is in line with what our customers expect. The solar farm that we have created, it is growing. We're not stopping at just creating 100 megawatts. Our target is to reach 1 gigawatt of clean energy captive.
Quite a steep number.
Yes. And this initiative is not something which is only restricted to Maharashtra, where our first solar farm is. We are going to build solar farms pan India, where our data centers are. Right. So clearly, it's not just greenwashing. Right. We are walking the talk. We are innovating. We're not just stopping at solar. There are various other renewable energy sources that we are currently evaluating in our energy mix. And I think it's a clear, very strong pillar of CtrlS, which is sustainability. In fact, we are one of the leading flag bearers when it comes to leading sustainably in India.
Yeah. Good to see that CtrlS is not just talking about sustainability. They're actually taking, real steps towards that goal. You worked with Entity, earlier NetMagic, now Entity Data Centers,
right,
to Yotta, and now you're at CtrlS Data Center. I'm sorry. What marketing principles you think have proven effective all these years?
If you look at it, there are at least 3 things that I can think of which are kind of consistent across all 3 organizations. Starting with your brand and the trust that it is able to gain, right? Trust is your ultimate currency. Okay. So across all the 3 companies, a lot of our effort was purely towards how do we gain the trust of these organizations, because without it, nobody would park hundreds and thousands of racks of equipment into your data center if they don't really trust you, if they don't trust your ability to deliver zero downtime, best performance, all of that, right? So trust is non-negotiable, right? The other aspect would be, again, brand advocacy. What we've seen is that as a marketer, it makes my job a lot more easier when my customer speaks on my behalf.
I think goes without saying for every industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. And more so in our case, because the CR community is a very tight-knit group. They all talk to each other to seek recommendations. So when you already have a strong case study out in the market, it makes your job so much more easier to influence other decision makers, right? The last but not the least, I think, is working very closely with the sales team. See, in our industry, which is B2B tech, the entire buying cycle is very lengthy. And as marketing, we cannot just stop at passing on the lead to sales. We have to see it through the entire life cycle of that lead, right? How do we accelerate the lead? How do we ensure that we are building, velocity in the deal? So we have to work very closely with the sales team to ensure that, in fact, at CtrlS, we have shared KPIs with sales.
Okay.
Right? We have a revenue number, which is co-owned between marketing and sales, right?
I think it's a new approach and proving to be very, very successful.
It is the kind of collaboration that we are seeing with our sales teams and the marketing teams is phenomenal, because we kind of align towards one direction, right? So yeah, I think some of these things I feel are kind of common across all the three organizations. Yeah.
So from your words, I think one thing is definitely established is that customer advocacy can help you take this infra or make this infra more relatable to the consumers, right? That you're approaching, especially your sales team, right? But how do one would do this? If I want to convert my customer into brand advocates, what are those key steps that I need to focus on? I think it's a long journey, but
just focus on one step. Just think about what is in it for the customer to actually give you a case study. If you just think from his angle, you have cracked about 80% of that. Okay. In our case, what we have done is, one, when we approach a customer, we go to them very clearly with concrete ideas. It's not about, hey, can you just give us a bite and then we'll figure out what to do with it? No, we go a step ahead. In fact, we create mock-ups of creatives. In fact, we ran a very large campaign called X brand trusts CtrlS, and this entire campaign was supposed to be unveiled at the Mumbai T2 airport.
Okay.
The entire arrival section, some 40 odd kiosks, which we had taken over, and we approached all our customers, with a clear mock-up of the creative of what it would look like, and we placed it in the Mumbai T2 airport setting. And when they saw that, it was a completely different, approach. Even though most of these brands have signed an NDA with us that we're not supposed to reveal the brand name, because data centers are obviously a very, very important infrastructure. They don't want to reveal where the data centers are located. While we did not do that, but still, when they saw these campaigns, they were very, happy seeing that, wow, even their names are going to be seen at Mumbai airport, which is obviously visited by millions of people on a monthly basis. So we were able to convert some of the biggest names, Intel, JK Tire, a whole bunch of insurance companies that we work with, Zoho, right? All of these brands came forward, gave us the consent immediately, right? Because we told them what's in it for them.
I think that's the most important thing.
Exactly.
And good strategy also.
Yeah. With some customers, what we've tried to do is do joint PRs. Okay. If it's a very big deal, we try and do a joint PR so that both the brands benefit from it. The stakeholders of that brand would get assurance that the brand is working with a good data center company, and hence the application, the brand reputation would remain intact. And obviously, we get some advantage out of this announcement as well. So if you just address the pain point of what's in it for the customer, I think you've got it nailed.
Most important. You mentioned a couple of points on brand advocacy. Then we were looking at marketing. You said that you've clubbed, and I would rather say successfully, married marketing and the sales function together, right? We often see marketing as a support function, especially in these technical organizations. One such would be data centers, right? How do you, garner the thought of shifting marketing as a support function to something which is a growth driver?
It's a bit of a mind shift actually, and one really has to understand and respect the technical teams first of all, because a that's the entire culture of the organization. It is a technical, it's an engineering led culture, right?
Agree.
So that's not going to change. The DNA is not going to change. It will not become a marketing led culture or overnight, right? So what we need to do is work very closely with all of these stakeholders, okay, and then win some, get some small wins, okay. So for example, we worked with our lead data center designer, okay. We try to understand what are the key pain points of designing a data center in India. And some of the answers and inputs that he was able to share were absolutely mind-boggling, which nobody's even talking about. Okay. So did you know that, for example, if I'm building a data center in Telangana, okay, the same design cannot be replicated in, let's say, Tamil Nadu, because each state has its own rules and regulations,
Absolutely,
building codes, etc. Right? So there is no one size fits all, and this was like a very small, example, but nobody is even talking about these type of issues. So we dedicated a blog just on this small topic, and the blog went viral on LinkedIn. Okay. We got so many calls of appreciation that wow, this is not something that we even think of, right? What's the issue of about procuring power from one state to the other? Power is a state decision, right? So again, the entire dynamics vary from one state to the other. So lots of appreciation came our way, and this is only possible because the marketing team is very closely collaborating with all of the stakeholders. We have similar examples of marketing teams collaborating with the facility operations, marketing teams collaborating with our ESG teams, okay, to showcase their work. That's all that we are doing, okay. And it makes a lot of difference because now they are finding themselves under the spotlight. Usually their work might go a little underappreciated, if I may say so, but when they work with marketing, they are under the spotlight and they're loving it, right? So not just these, but some of these initiatives ultimately help us accelerate our pipeline as well. So we are able to show a clear ROI, which they appreciate even more.
I think the business would appreciate that because that's a boardroom discussion for always, right?
Exactly. So yeah, so that's what I tell my team. You need to be curious. You need to work with all of these stakeholders, make them look good, and ultimately we will end up looking good as a company.
That's a great way of building culture within cross teams, right? I think it's good. So before coming into data centers, right, you were with communication, right? And I think before that you were with agencies. You've done commendable work in all verticals that you've actually taken care of. But when it comes to data center, I think 3 companies in one row. Do they pay good? That's why you're in data center industry? Or is there any other reason behind it?
So if you look at the overall trajectory of the data center industry, even though data centers have been around since 2006-7, the real growth actually happened when with the adoption of cloud computing in India. Okay, that was around the 2013-2014 mark, when some of the large hyperscalers like AWS, Azure entered the market, and they had to set up their local grids in India because of various government policies, right? So that's when the real growth started. And there's been no looking back, because not just cloud adoption, but the overall trend of increasing digitization, right? Whether it's an organization upgrading itself, okay, with digitization, or end consumers like you and me relying on our phones and apps for pretty much everything that we need. True. Right?
Yeah.
So with all of this, the entire trajectory of the data center industry has actually gone up more than 2.5 times. I remember in 2019 when I had joined Yota, around that time the overall industry was roughly 330 odd megawatts. Okay, that's how we measure a data center in terms of megawatts. Right now the size is, we've just breached the 1 gigawatt capacity, so almost 3 times of growth. Okay, 3 times of growth has happened in the last 6 years, and now we're predicting this growth to another, I think the industry is about to double in the next 3 years. Okay. So extremely exciting space to be in. A lot is happening within the space. So yeah, I think I'm very excited to see the trajectory, and especially now with AI in the mix, I think the sky is the limit actually.
Your work has been appreciated all this while, right? And I think good work can't be done if you have right principle and SOPs in place, right? Both have to be there. So if you were to leave one good principle to the future CMOs in infrastructure, especially the data center industry, what would that be?
I said this earlier, just work on one single element, which is building trust for your brand. In the infrastructure space, trust is non-negotiable.
Trust. So I think that's a key takeaway for our viewers as well. You have to focus on building trust, and brand equity will grow on its own, I think, alongside, right?
Absolutely.
It'll
It's a
become a
byproduct.
byproduct, right? We are towards the end of the session, right? Just like to ask one last question.
Mhm.
And I think it's more of a perspective swap that we wanted to see.
Okay.
You are Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer at CtrlS. Imagine we switch your profile with the CIO of the company.
Okay.
Instead of the CMO, now you are the Chief Information Officer,
Okay.
right? How would you sell data center from the perspective of a CIO, especially a brand like CtrlS?
Sure. It's a very interesting question. The CIOs, they wear a technical hat most of the time. But what they do is when they have to, let's say, pitch to their boards about data center, they would, again, talk the boardroom language.
Mm.
The conversation will change from uptime and green data centers and certifications to answering the concerns of the board, right? Which is all about, is my business going to run continuously, okay, without any disruption? Is any disruption going to happen for my brand? Okay. Or are there going to be, for example, any compliance, challenges, right? So as long as the CIO is able to market
Mhm.
his approach towards data center with these boardroom concerns, I think he would be able to make a much better pitch, not just relying on the technical aspect. They're very important,
Mhm.
but you'll have to translate them into boardroom language.
I'll say smart answer. And you
Mm.
portrayed the entire situation very clearly. Thank you so much for that. So, to our viewers, this was Mr. Siddharth Singh, Senior Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer, CtrlS, who shared his perspective on our topic, looking at the unseen, which is building influence or building brand influence in the data center infrastructure industry. So for more such content, please stay tuned on FTA's Global Marketing Stack 2025. And thanks for your time. Thank you, Siddharth. Thanks for being on the
Pleasure,
show.
pleasure.
Thank
This
you.
was a exciting experience talking to you and sharing my perspective.
Thank you. Likewise.